Welcome to Cozy with Jill and Lisa. This is our second episode and it's July already.
It is, and we are joining you today from my back patio here in Watertown.
And someone is cutting the grass, so if there's a little bit of a weird noise, it's cutting the grass. But you know what? That's all what summer is all about. And who doesn't love the smell of freshly cut grass?
Yes,
it's lovely. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about pets and why pets are so important to our lives and how you can get cozy with your pets. And it's especially appropriate because Lisa works for the Humane Society in Watertown.
Yes, I do. And the reason that we decided to talk about pets this episode was that I realized after filming our last episode that I hadn't talked about my job at all. So I'm actually the volunteer coordinator at the Watertown Humane Society. I supervise the most wonderful group of selfless individuals that volunteer their time with us. And I get the perk of being around animals at my job all day.
Nice.
Jill and I are both dog people. In fact, we would like you to meet Gracie.
Hey, Gracie.
This is one of my two dachshunds. She was actually fostered by us when she came to the Watertown Humane Society from Texas last year. And she ended up a foster fail because she is now ours now, and she's been with us for a year. So everyone, please say hello to Gracie.
Hey, Gracie. That happens a lot, doesn't it? People foster and they fall in love with the dogs, and
it does. Or they're afraid to foster because that's what's
going to happen.
That's what they think will happen.
Yeah, I think I would have the same problem. So, and you've got another dog too.
We do. We have Lucky, who is a tweenie dachshund, which means he's between a miniature, which is what Gracie is, and a standard. So he's bigger than Gracie, and he's a black and tan. We weren't able to allow him to be on camera today because he's a much naughtier dachshund than Gracie is, so he's hanging out in the house with Jim right now.
Yes, because some people are good on camera and some are not. It's the same thing with dogs. And my dog is not here. My dog is named Seamus, and he's kind of a bigger dog, so he's a little bit harder to handle, and he would have probably eaten most of this or knocked it down or something. Seamus is also a rescue from the Watertown Humane Society, and he also came from Texas.
Yes.
So that's kind of neat that we have so many dogs. The dog I had before was from Mississippi, so a lot of southern dogs make their way up. Do you know why that is, Lisa?
Yes, so the South is overrun with dogs because they don't have like the licensing regulations that we do up here. So there's just an incredible overpopulation of dogs in the South. So fortunately, a lot of humane societies and rescues in the northern part of the U.S. are able to do transports to get some of those dogs up here where we have adopters who are much more willing to take care of the expenses associated with pets and keep them inside where they should be in a home. And
and speaking of inside, so we're talking about, the dogs are so wonderful and they make you feel loved and they give you something to do with your time, and they keep you company. And so my dog Seamus, so I got him in April, all right, so a few months ago, and I used to leave him when I left. He didn't like it, but I would leave him without any problem. Well, as soon as the weather got nice, I had my windows open, and he soon learned that if he pushed hard enough, he could push the screen out and get out. So my lovely neighbor sent me a message telling me that Seamus was running around the neighborhood and in their yard playing with their dog. I'm like, oh, great. So I figured out what he had done, of course, and the next time I left, I closed all the windows on the bottom, left the top ones open, except I forgot that I also have windows upstairs, and he realized that he could do the same thing and get out on the porch roofs, my kitchen roof. So then I got another text from my neighbor saying, your dog is on your roof, and nobody wants to see that.
He's quite an adventurer.
He is. He is. And hopefully we'll have some pictures of him up on the roof because someone sent me one of those when I was gone. So that was fun too. And he's learned now, the last time, that he can, even if I have it open an inch, if it's a fairly smooth window, he can stick his nose in, push it up, and then push out the screen and then go out on the porch top. So yeah, that's my dog.
It's amazing how smart some of these animals are.
They are.
But they have tremendous benefits for pet owners.
They do.
research has actually shown that people who have pets have lower blood pressure. They experience much less stress, much less anxiety. They often have a better immune system than folks without pets. In addition to providing the hours of endless entertainment.
Yes. That is so true. Yeah, he's a very entertaining puppy, my doggy. But I mean, we saw that during the pandemic, of course, and so many people adopted so many pets, which was wonderful. They probably,
and now things have kind of plateaued with that.
I would think everybody's back to doing their normal things, so it's a little less time. But yeah, so it's a transition for pet owners. I know I've talked to behaviorists before, and they want to make sure that if you're going from home, being home all day, and then all of a sudden you're going to work, that you need to do that gradually. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to work now, and expect your dog to be adjusted. So yeah, so, and then one of my favorite things is to well, we're usually, we have our journals, right? Of course, writing your cozy moment of the day.
I have my journal, Jill. I don't see your journal here today. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's because my journal's empty. I'm terrible with the journal. I'm really sorry. I'll try better.
It works for some of us, not so
I just
much for
keep
others.
it up here, But anyway, my transition, Lisa, was that I go to the dog park at least once a day with Seamus, and he loves it so much. And we like to go in the morning because it's not so hot, and there's not as many people and dogs, and so it's kind of a great opportunity for us to kind of bond, and we have fun, and I get to listen to the birds and in the morning, and it's cool, and I get to see all kinds of really cool wildlife and flowers, and I get to identify them, and so anyway, it's a great time for me to get my cozy moment of the day with my dog. So what did you pick?
And that's another great benefit too, is that the pets keep us active, which is
amen.
really important.
For sure.
So the journal entry that I picked for this episode also relates to the dogs. And it's a very simple, mundane thing that I noted in my journal on June 28th. I was letting the dogs out in the evening. It was probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock, just for 5 minutes. And, they were out in the backyard here doing their thing. And I tuned into the sound of the birds chirping. There was a cool breeze that was blowing. And, listening to the kids across over at the neighbor's house laughing and having a great old time over there, just tuning into those little things and being mindful of our space and our present moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. Just to be in the moment, be present, enjoy what you have around you. And we can hear these birds. It's nice and quiet now. The lawnmower is done. We're in a beautiful space, lovely landscaping, and these great white picket fences. So yeah, just appreciating where you are, and this wonderful food, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We've got some new recipes for you. But right now we want to talk a little bit about cozy books. And there, of course, is a subgenre of mysteries. They're called cozy mysteries, which is favorites for both of us.
That's right.
And so, Lisa, you had a few books you wanted to talk about.
Yes, I do. So the books that I would like to share with all of you today are written actually by a wonderful author here in Watertown. Her name is Janice Dietrich. She has written a series of Gaston the Poodle books. The last one that just came out this May, and it's called Murder is as Easy as Pie. It's the third one in the series, but you don't need to read all 3 books in order to stay up with what's going on. You can certainly read them independently. The thing that I love about these books is that the characters are so quirky and endearing.
Love that.
You want everything to go well for them. They're usually cozy mysteries are usually set in a small town. And there are actually some Watertown nods that Jan puts in here to some local establishments. A little bakery, one of the watering holes in town. I love that. So yeah, these are my recommendations. We actually took a road trip earlier this spring, and this was the book that I took along with me, and I just love it. They're so easy to read, but the twists and turns keep you invested and engaged, and you don't need a flow chart to figure out who the characters are and what locations you need to keep track of.
Right.
So these are some of my favorites. I strongly recommend them for summertime reading or vacation reading, anything like that.
For sure. And I don't have any with me because I tend to listen to my books. I love audiobooks, and I listen to them all the time when I'm around the house, when I'm gardening, when I'm driving. I just have audiobooks on all the time. But some of my favorites as far as cozy mysteries go, and probably the person who invented those is Agatha Christie. And I still go, and I've been reading them since I was a teenager, so I still go back and listen or read. I still have all the paperbacks, and I can never remember who was it that did it again. She's so good. I think her plots are still probably the gold standard of that. So I've got plenty of them, but those are the only ones I'm going to mention because we are going to our friend Leah Fritchie, who is a librarian, who is actually the head of the library, the director, I believe, over in Deerfield. So we're going to go to her, and she's rounded up some cozy mysteries, or cozy books rather, that she thought we could read at the beach because, August is a perfect time to go to the beach. So let's go to her and see what she has to say.
Hi, my name is Leah Fritchie, and I'm the library director at the Deerfield Public Library. I'm here to give you some cozy book recommendations, especially with the idea of it being a beach read in mind. First, I would like to start with a fun little series called the Lighthouse Library Mystery Series. This particular title is Deadly Ever After by Eva Gates. This takes place in New England, on the beach. A couple's announced that it's time to get married and they're gonna throw their friends a party at a lighthouse in New England. And that's when the murder happens. Most of these book recommendations are going to be cozy mysteries, so I hope you have your sleuth hats on if you decide to delve into these titles. The next book on my list is part of the Mystery Bookshop series, and this one is called A Tourist's Guide to Murder by V.M. Burns. Who doesn't want to go to England? Who doesn't want to plan a trip with their friends? Of course, nobody actually wants to have a murder happen on their so-called trip, but that is exactly what happens in this mystery. They want to, this group of friends want to get together and travel the streets and visit the pubs that Agatha Christie and Arthur Conan Doyle have used in the past. They're following the trail of the famous mystery writers. And then they happen upon a murder. So I'm not gonna tell you anymore. You're gonna have to read it for yourself and maybe cozy up as you read it. A Game of Cones. Join us in the Ice Cream Parlor Mystery Series by Abby Collette. This one, besides the title being a hilarious play on the Game of Thrones, it just sounds like fun. It's a small town. It's an ice cream shop. Everybody enjoys summer. Everybody enjoys ice cream. Everybody likes being a part of this until somebody literally stumbles across a dead body. And one of the people who's come to town to visit her niece's shop becomes a suspect. So it just kind of makes it all a little bit too close to home in this cozy mystery. Read it to find out what happens next. The next title, not only is it something a little bit different, but the title is fantastic. Fatal Fried Rice, part of the Noodle Shop Mystery Series by Vivian Chen. This mystery series takes place in Cleveland's Asia Village, and it looks like one of the main characters has decided to go to culinary school on the sly. But when her instructor turns up dead, we have a whole mystery on our hands. So the student, Lana, the main character in the book, decides that she needs to help the detective figure out exactly what has happened to her instructor and get to the bottom of this mystery. The next book I actually have in my hands, Arsenic and Adobo by Mia Manansala. This is a cozy mystery that is written by a Filipino author, and it's described as a Nora Ephron meets Agatha Christie book, which sounds like it's both a classic mystery and slightly hilarious. I'm hoping. That's the plan. I have not delved into this one, but I see it's highly recommended. It's showing up on lists everywhere. So this will be one that I will be digging into as soon as we finish filming this. This one says that the main character Lila has come to help her family's failing restaurant. And she also has to deal with a group of matchmaking aunties, which we all know can create its own set of problems. And she has to deal with a nasty food critic who also happens to drop dead after confronting Lila about her restaurant and her family. So this is where the mystery begins. And the cops have decided that Lila's the suspect because of the confrontation. So here we have the setup for this lovely mystery. So I can't wait personally to read this book to see how this mystery plays out. And I'm hoping that we go to get a good dish of food description, and lots of stuff from the aunties. These recommendations all fit into a lovely, cozy set of mysteries. So if this is the type of book that you're looking for, you want to get cozy on the beach, you want to get cozy on vacation, I would recommend taking any of these titles with you and settling in to help solve the mystery.
Thank you, Leah. Wonderful. Leah actually, this is not cozy to me, but to her, cozy, she likes like real crime, which is not cozy at all to me. But to her, she said she likes it. So, that's the thing is too, you need to find your own cozy, right? You need to find your own cozy. So, so what do we got for recipes today?
So the recipes that I would like to share are this fruit dip, which is a wonderful light dip. It's great for summertime fruit platters. It's so simple. All it is 2 cups of whipped topping, and I actually prefer to use the light whipped topping, and then brown sugar, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And that's it. That's all there is to it. You just mix it up. It's very light. I prefer it because it's got a little bit more of a that nutmeg and cinnamon. I prefer it with the strawberries, with the pears, but you could, with apples in the fall, it would be wonderful.
Right. Maybe make it a little more cinnamony in the fall.
You could certainly do that. So that's what I have for the dip, and the cherry lemonade is the other recipe that I'd like to share with you today. This was so simple as well. This requires 2 ounces of cherries, and of course, pitting the cherries is the most time-consuming part of the entire recipe.
Do you have a pitter?
I do have a pitter, yep. But still, I was doing it while I was watching a movie from the kitchen, so it was a little bit time-consuming, but that's okay. And then 3/4 of a cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice, and 2/3 of a cup of sugar, and you mix your cherries, your sugar, and the lemon juice in a blender to make like that fruit syrup, and then you pour over some ice in your glass. You pour 1/3 or 1 part of the syrup, and then 2 parts of sparkling water. And that's all there is to it. It's a very refreshing, wonderful summertime drink.
Perfect.
And those recipes are on our Facebook page.
Yes.
Our Pinterest board as well.
And we'll do a link to them on our Facebook page, so you can get them there too. And the recipe that I wanted to share with you is one that I just shared with my group of American Association of University Women. We just had a final meeting of the year, and so we all brought something, and it went over really well, and I've made it a number of times, and it was on Ask Aunt Ann, but let me kind of share it with you. I didn't make it because it's really hard to transport.
Yes.
But basically what it is, it's a cheese and olive plate, and it's not really difficult to do. You just need cream cheese and white cheddar cheese. It's important to use white because the yellow just doesn't look right with this. You also need stuffed olives and Greek olives, which you can get in a jar, so it's not difficult to find. And then there is a marinade. So You cut up the cheese in slices, and I always like to put them in kind of a starburst pattern. And then you put the olives in the middle, and then I usually sprinkle some around the edges too, because we like olives, right? And so you do a piece of cream cheese and a piece of cheddar cheese, and you just kind of stagger them all the way around. And then the marinade is balsamic vinegar, olive oil, fresh basil, and fresh parsley. So try to get the fresh. You can use the dry, but the fresh looks so much better for presentation. And then if you can find those little tiny jars of pimento strips, they're not that easy to find anymore, but yeah, drain those and then sprinkle those. So this is good any time of year. It looks beautiful at Christmas because of the color, but it's really good for outdoors. It's good for wherever. So that recipe will be on there. So in kind of towards the end here, I found this really interesting essay. It's from the New York Times. It's by a doctor, a clinical psychiatrist. Her name is Mary Pipper, I believe it's pronounced, and she's the author, and her recent book is A Life in Light, Meditations on Impermanence, and we thought we would just kind of read it to you, parts of it, where we kind of edited it out a little bit. So why don't you go ahead and start, Lisa?
Over the decades, I've acquired skills for building a good day, especially in the summer when I can swim, work in my garden, attend outdoor concerts, and read in my hammock. Life is fun. I have work I enjoy, sponsoring an Afghan family, participating in an environmental group, and writing. Of course, I'm leading a double life. Underneath my ordinary good life, I am in despair for the world. Some days, the news is such that I need all my inner strength to avoid exhaustion, anxiety, and depression. I rarely discuss this despair. My friends don't either. We all feel the same. We don't know what to say that is positive. So, we keep our conversations to our gardens, our families, books, movies, and our work on local projects. We don't want to make one another feel hopeless and helpless. As we are pummeled with daily traumatic information, more and more of us shut down emotionally. I can hear the flatness in the newscasters' voices, see the stress in my friends' faces, and sense it in the tension of the workers at my sister's nursing home. We are not apathetic. We are overwhelmed. Our symptoms resemble those of combat fatigue. The most informed and compassionate among us are the most vulnerable to despair. We understand the brokenness and the sorrow in our own and faraway communities. We are also fully aware of all the things we cannot change. Staying focused on the light in the world is hard work.
In times like these, we need world-class coping skills just to stay fully awake, enjoy our lives, and be of service to others. My life lessons come from many places. My maternal grandmother, the study of psychology, and the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. My grandmother raised 5 children on a ranch in eastern Colorado during the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. Her life was simple, but her mind was not. She urged me to be the person you want to live with every day of your life. She was a model of forbearance, always cheerful and curious. Even on her deathbed, she asked about my high school classes and the books I was reading. And the last time I saw her, she told me her life goal had been to leave the world a better place. Psychology teaches us that the best way to cope with suffering is to face it. We must feel it in our bodies, explore its meaning, and then muster our inner resources to move forward. We find ways to balance our despair with joy. We reach out to our friends and family. We find a way to help other people. Action is always an antidote to despair. And Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk and Zen master, witnessed great suffering in Vietnam during both the French and the American wars. To help himself and his followers deal with their anger, fear, and heartbreak, he developed mindfulness practices. He taught his followers to breathe deeply and slowly and to anchor themselves in the present moment. As Thich Nhat Hanh would say, present moment, beautiful moment. Yet even as he emphasized meditation, he created the Youth for Social Service to help his war-torn country. Most of us cannot be great heroes. However, we all have the capacity to be ordinary heroes. We may not be able to stop the global use of plastics, but we can work with local environmental groups. We cannot eliminate prejudice or nuclear weapons. However, we can deliver Meals on Wheels or repair bikes for giveaway programs. Last night I sat on my porch, watched a storm in the southeastern sky, bolt after bolt of cloud-to-cloud lightning illuminating the towering thunderheads. An owl flew over en route to his favorite pine trees. Frogs croaked, dogs barked in the distance. And as I watched this scene, I thought to myself that life is so terrible and beautiful at the same time. Do I have the capacity to hold it all in my heart? Wise words.
Yes.
Wise words. And we'll put a link to that essay on the Facebook page, and maybe even, I think on Pinterest we can do that too, so you can read it yourself and think about it. But it's so true, and myself working with journalists and having them deal every day with the news that they have to deal with. I know one of them says she has a link on her web or her computer to funny dog videos. So we'll circle around to the dogs again, and you know that helps her get through, because I mean, how do you do that and still be neutral, you know? And so so our little animals serve a lot of purpose, don't they?
They sure do.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think it speaks to just the little steps that we can take, you know. There are so many nonprofits in our community that
Yes.
could use your volunteer services, that can really benefit from that help in so many ways, and you feel like you're really doing something that has an impact, and something that's simple but makes a really big difference.
It does, and it not only makes a difference to the community and the people you're helping, but to yourself. When you volunteer, I mean, it just gives you the warm fuzzies. Or if you do something nice, you know, if you pay ahead for the person behind you in the checkout line or what have you, you feel good all day. They feel good all day, and it's much better than if you got mad at someone, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's all what it's about. So making yourself, making other people feel warm, loved, cozy.
Because we all need that these days.
We certainly do. And you watching us makes us feel warm and cozy. And so thank you very much. We'll be back again next month. And please comment on Facebook. You know what? We need to see pictures of people's pets.
Yes, please send us your pets. Put your photos up there on our Facebook page. We would love for you to share those with us.
We did. Okay, thank you so much for being with us.